Welcome back to Dimitra's Dishes. So today I'm going to teach you how to make cream puffs, also known as profiteroles. It's basically the same recipe as making eclairs. Eclairs are just longer versions of these. It's delicious. It starts off with the puff recipe, the cream puff recipe, which is also known as pâté choux, as they say in French. I don't speak French, so don't get on me if I didn't get that right. Let's go over the ingredients and then we're going to get started. This is an irresistible dessert that's so simple and economical to make. You're going to be so surprised. Look at the ingredients. They're so, there's just a little bit of all-purpose flour, some unsalted butter, tiny bit of salt, and a little bit of sugar, a pinch of sugar, some whole eggs. There's 3 over here. And that's it. We're going to put some water in this, and then you could fill these and dip these and do whatever your heart desires. That's it. These are the ingredients. It's going to make about 12. Before you do anything, before you start making this recipe, make sure that your oven is preheated at 400 degrees because this is going to move really, really quickly, as you will see. I'm going to begin by putting about a half a cup of water in my saucepan over here. And it's a small saucepan. I'm going to move the chocolate on the side. That's going to be for dipping these delicious little desserts in. I'm going to put my salt and my sugar and my unsalted butter. I always like to use unsalted butter because I like to control the salt that goes in here. Sometimes the salted butter in the supermarket is super salty, which is good for rubbing on bread, but not good for making pastries like this. So we're going to heat this over high heat until the butter and everything melts and it comes to a boil. And then we're going to add our flour to this. Just take a few minutes. All right, as you can see, the butter melted and it's up to a boil. So at this point, we're just going to add the flour. And it's going to look clumpy and gross and yucky, but it's going to all come together beautifully in just a little bit. We're going to keep stirring this until just a few minutes, actually, a few seconds. It doesn't even take a few minutes. And we're doing this just to kind of cook the flour. As soon as all the flour comes together in one ball and it starts to coat the bottom of the pan, that's it. We're going to remove it off the heat and we're going to move on to the final step. And that's it. This is done. All right, so our dough is ready. You can definitely continue and beat in the pan, but I don't like to do that because the pan stays a little too hot. I'm afraid the eggs are going to scramble. I'm just going to mix the dough up a little bit to kind of cool it down just a bit. And you can totally use this wooden spoon to add the eggs in one at a time. I just prefer to use a handheld mixer. It kind of makes it much easier. It's less labor intensive. But if you don't have a hand mixer, you completely don't need one. That's one of the best things about this recipe. You don't need anything fancy to make it, anything expensive. It's really, really simple and delicious. Okay, so this is pretty good enough. It still needs to be warm. It just doesn't need to be burning hot, right? So I'm going to turn my mixer on, and I'm going to incorporate my eggs one at a time. It's kind of stuck. Let me fix it. So while it's on, I'm going to incorporate the eggs one at a time. You definitely don't want to add all 3 eggs in at a time. It's going to look curdled at first and kind of clumpy and yucky, but then it's going to become silky and smooth and really beautiful, and that's when we're going to pipe it out and shape our cream puffs. That's it. Once the dough is all smooth, like so, just the way it is, it's really nice and smooth and thick. It's done and it's ready to put in the pastry bag and to shape it into our cream puffs. All right, so this is a dough that you don't want to make and then go in the bathroom, fix your hair, get ready for your guests. You want to work with it while it's still warm, just like so. If you have a pastry bag, which you should if you've been watching my channel because I use it a lot, it's really great to have, especially for a recipe like this. You don't need one. You can just use a little ice cream scoop and kind of scoop out little round balls if you don't have an ice cream scoop. go ahead and use a tablespoon or a teaspoon. I like to make these really nice and big, so it's going to make about 10 to 12 large size cream puffs. You can also make them mini, so if you're going to make little small ones, it's probably going to make about 18 to 20, 22, something like that, depending on the size that you're going to make. Okay, so my bag is filled up with my dough. Now you're going to take a baking sheet that's lined with parchment paper, and you're just going to pipe little round circles, as big or as small as you want them, about an inch or a little taller than an inch high, and they're going to puff up even more in the oven. Now you see these points? That's not good. You don't want points on your cream puff, so you want to take some cold water, and you also want to round out all the other little lines that it's made and kind of make it as round as possible, and you could do that by wetting your fingers and kind of shaping this all around. The rounder it is, the prettier it's going to be. I'm just going to press these all down and shape these. So that's it. I've rounded these all out and kind of removed all the points. My oven is preheated at 400 degrees. I'm going to pop them in there for 15 minutes, and then I'm going to reduce the temperature without opening the oven. Do not open the oven, okay? To 350 degrees. And then they're going to continue to bake for about 30 to 35 minutes, or until that you see that they're a beautiful golden brown outside. And when you tap them on the bottom, they're nice and hollow. They have to make a hollow sound. If you underbake them, what's going to happen is when you take them out of the oven, they're going to deflate. And they're going to taste good, but they're not going to be like nice and puffy and beautiful the way cream puffs should be. So cooking them long enough is crucial. You want to do that. You want to make sure you do that. And you also want to cook them on the middle rack of your oven, not on the top and not on the bottom. The top will kind of burn them, and the bottom rack in your oven will take forever for them to cook, and they won't cook evenly. So make sure you do that, and then I'll show you what they look like when they come out. Okay, so while my cream puffs are in the oven baking, I'm going to make the chocolate sauce that I'm going to dip these in. It's not mandatory for this recipe, but let's face it, chocolate does make everything better. If you don't like chocolate, you don't have to make the sauce. It's a basic ganache, actually. So I have some chocolate over here, semi-sweet chocolate. Use your favorite kind of chocolate. And then I have some cream that's almost coming to a boil. And I'm basically just going to pour the hot cream over the chocolate to melt it. I'm not using chocolate chips. This is actually really fine Belgian chocolate that we use a lot at the bakery. It's kind of hard to find. They're called Calais or something like that. Callets, I don't know how to pronounce it. You can get a bar of the best kind of baking chocolate that you can find in your supermarket or grocery store, and just chop that up kind of coarsely, and that'll work just fine. Use bittersweet, semi-sweet, or a combination of the two. If you love milk chocolate, go ahead and use milk chocolate. And my cream is almost up to a boil. You want to get it really, really nice and hot. And as soon as that's done, I'm going to pour it over my chocolate chips, and they're not chocolate chips actually, over my chocolate, and let it melt. So the cream is nice and hot. I'm going to pour it over my chocolate and let it sit for a few seconds to kind of soften it all up. And then I'm going to whisk it all together until it's nice and smooth and beautiful. I'm going to whisk it all up, and you're going to see that it's going to go from this light brown kind of chocolate milk color to a beautiful, silky, shiny, smooth, thick, luxurious mixture, just like this. It's that easy. Now, if your cream wasn't hot enough, I pretty much almost brought it to a boil. Doesn't matter, but if you didn't heat it up enough and you still have kind of little bits of chocolate in here, just pop it in your microwave for about 5 seconds at a time until it melts. Or if you're not a huge fan of the microwave like I am, I'm not a huge fan of the microwave, you can just set this on top of a double boiler and bring the water up to a boil, and then shut the water and put it on top and let it slowly melt. Make sure the bowl is not touching the hot water though. That's it. I'm going to leave this on the side, and before I dip my cream puffs in it, it just needs to cool and kind of set and thicken a little bit. So in about an hour, it'll be ready to use. And that's just about the time that the cream puffs will be ready. All right, so my cream puffs are perfectly baked. They're not cream puffs yet. They're going to be filled with cream puffs right now. They're just puffs. So this is what they look like. They need to be a beautiful golden brown. If they're paler than this, they're going to need to cook a little bit longer. So again, it depends on your oven and everything. Make sure you don't open your oven while they're baking until at least the 30 minutes pass, or at least 25-30 minutes pass once you've lowered the temperature to 350. When you lower the temperature to 350, don't open your oven door, okay? Just adjust the temperature in your oven and leave the door closed so that way they don't fall flat, because, you know, after going through all this work, you don't want them to be sort of ruined, right? So as you see, some of them have a little bit of a mushroom shape, and that is because I didn't smooth them out as well as I could have. So if you really, really take your time and maybe even take 2 spoons and spoon them out like with the water, the way I did with my fingers, or with my fingers, to kind of keep them as round as possible without the swirls, then you will avoid these. But I think they look pretty cute. They look nice and homemade. These ones got smoothed out better, so they're nice and they're more round than these, but they're still going to taste so delicious. While they're cooling, you want to take a skewer or a knife, whatever you have, and kind of poke a hole on the side so the steam can escape, so they don't get gooey and gummy on the inside. And just place them on a cooling rack or back on a baking dish. That's fine. So I'm going to allow these to cool completely for about 15 minutes or so, and then we will fill them with delicious pastry cream and dip them in chocolate, and I'll show you how to do that next. All right, so my cream puffs have cooled completely, and that is super important before you fill them. You don't want to put cold filling, especially when it comes to like whipped cream or ice cream. If you're using ice cream in a hot cream puff, it'll just, you know, make it a big melted mess. I let my chocolate ganache also cool at room temperature for about an hour, so it can become really nice and sort of thick. So that way it doesn't slide off of the cream puff, it sticks on top. I have some pastry cream made. Click on the link wherever you see it. I don't know where it's going to be to get the recipe. It's very quick and easy, but you can really fill these with whatever you like. If you're filling them with ice cream, instead of poking a hole in them, just cut them in half and put a scoop of ice cream in there, your favorite ice cream. You can put fresh fruit and ice cream, or fresh fruit and pastry cream in it, or just whipped cream. That's how they pretty much used to be made, with just like whipped cream or pastry cream. You get both of these recipes by clicking on one of the links. The homemade whipped cream is just like 3 ingredients. And be creative, whatever you like. You want to fill them with Nutella? Go ahead, fill them with Nutella. Whatever you like, just make them, because they are too good to miss out on. So now I have 2 pastry bags, because I'm going to fill half of mine with the homemade whipped cream and half with this delicious pastry cream that I made earlier, and I let it cool. It's so thick and creamy and yummy that it's like it's lighter than a vanilla pudding. But if you want to make pudding, go ahead and make it. So I'm going to fill my pastry bag. Now, where we made the hole before, we're just going to stick the tip in and fill it. I like a lot of filling in my cream puffs until you can't fit any filling in anymore. Just like that. Put it on the side. All right, so my cream puffs are all filled, and these are a beautiful dessert to serve at like a baby shower or a bridal shower or at a tea party. They're super, super, they bring joy to everyone's face that you serve these to, especially for mine. I mean, from what I've seen at the restaurant too, people love these. They're absolutely simple to make, and especially if you serve these in cute little liners, they just look even more cute. So I'm going to do half of these with powdered sugar and cinnamon on top, and the other half I'm going to dip in chocolate. So let me start with the powdered sugar ones first. Let's see if I could find half of the whipped cream filled and half of the pastry cream filled, and kind of do it that way. I think that looks good. I'm going to put these in my beautiful platter that I have here. Take some confectioner sugar and just dust them on top. And just like this, I mean, this simple, beautiful way to serve them is just enough. I mean, it is so yummy and so delicious that just serving it like this is good enough. But we're going to make it even better by dipping the rest in some chocolate. So we're just going to take the tops and just like that, put them in the chocolate. Look at these. I'll cut into one so I can show you what they look like inside. I'll do the whipped cream filled. And I don't know if you could hear the crunch. You probably can't hear it. I'll just cut through it with a serrated knife. Look at how beautiful that is. Tell me that is not impressive right there. You can do this. I did it all in front of you. It's very, very simple to make. Make sure, please post comments down below, especially if you want me to make a savory version of this. I'll see you guys next time. I'm going to enjoy this broken one right here. And I'm going to send these off to my neighbors. They're so pretty. I think my neighbors will be really, really happy to get these. I'm going to dip this one in a little bit of chocolate. And I'm going to enjoy it. See you guys next time. Bye, everyone.